Yo, BJ GADDOUR with the BJ GADDOUR Podcast. I'm the former fitness director for the Men's Health brand, and this is another part of the 3-hour plus discussion with my good friend Jeremy Scott of the Jeremy Scott Fitness app and podcast based in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm in Palm Desert here, 2 men over 40, trying to stay fit and active and pass it along to you guys. We're going to talk now about our favorite abs training, if you will, old school. You know, I like, and Jeremy does, a lot of the old school stuff. We grew up in the 80s and 90s. Abs wheel, hanging ab straps, dumbbell side bends, back extensions, sit-ups, and even some inversion stuff or gravity boot, upside down training, or just handstand work, L-sit stuff we'll talk about today. I also, if you're a member of my YouTube channel here, you got to check out, it's free with ads, my Abzilla Ultimate Abs Core Trainer, 10 progressive workouts to help you build up to some awesome calisthenic strength standards like L-sits, handstands. I think you guys will really enjoy the program. It's all 20 minutes, follow-along workouts based with instructional components built into it. So hope you enjoy the discussion. Check out my abs trainer here on YouTube. And please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Have a beautiful day, guys. Peace.
We'll do
let's pivot to some abs. Great time to talk about abs in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, we did load, and again, the stuff you have is great. For the people who are obviously in our stuff, we loaded BJ's, I don't even know if it's called the Ultimate Core Trainer. Maybe that's just what I called it. Is that what it's called?
Ultimate Core, Ultimate Abs.
I don't even know. It's in the infographics in the app. I've been doing it. I don't even read my own shit anymore. I just am to the detail. I'm getting older. I forget the details of damn near everything I do. I think we call it, the Ultimate Core Trainer. But it is, it's 10 videos. They're all follow along. It's not easy. It's not easy at all. Like even the first, they get progressively harder. I think I went through, 3 of them now. I think around like the third one, or this week will be the 4th one. I've basically just been doing it. I was taking our weekly workouts in the app. The entire program is obviously in there. And I just, I'm like on Wednesdays, usually for me, depending on the week, last week was a little bit different, but it tends to be the day where I do like heavy mobility stuff, and then I'll build that in. Because I did it the first week. I'm like, well, okay, I'll do my mobility, but I actually have some energy today, so I'll do this. It's like, I think, what is the following? 25 minutes or is it 30? One of the two.
Every workout is always 20 minutes long. The instructional portion varies from video based on, the coaching.
But even that, like just doing like video one, if that's the easiest. Again, they're going to be movement centric. So some people will do better with movement X versus movement Y, but just the timing alone, like minute work periods are so long, in my opinion, if you're really doing stuff. So even as simple as like a single leg, essentially hip thrust on a slight, toes elevated, that's a long time to do a single leg hip thrust through full range of motion. Because historically, if I do, let's say, body weight stuff at 15 reps with squeezes, 15 reps doesn't take me like a full minute. Like, so even to slow that down and have 15 be in the minute, it's 20 seconds longer than I normally go. And that's murder. And even that first video one, there's the sliding, like the hamstring curls you do with the sliders, we do them here. And we don't do the drop the hip. We just have people do the full like if you can do, and this is what I mean by people who think like, oh, I have to load super heavy. You can if you want to. I'm not saying I still don't lift heavy shit, relative to, the average person. But doing like single leg hamstring curls or slide outs, like with the sliders, if you can do 5 or 6, like legit, like you're insanely strong. If you could somehow get to 10, which I cannot, by the way, on one leg, there's no fucking way. Like I'd love to see a human give me 10 to 12, 13 perfect reps on one leg without dropping the hips, and then do it on the other side. So in the video, you do a minute with the regression of the hip drop, which is still hard to do. But the single arm push-ups, dude, like it's insanity. Like do a single arm push-up essentially with the slide, like so there's assistance. You do it for a minute. You wait 15 seconds, which is nothing, and then do another minute. For most people, just to, if I'm being honest, when people say like they do these videos and they do them perfect, most people are so full of shit because just to hold a fucking plank, like even in your hands, your body is shaking like a leaf. Like it's not easy to do. And that's like, I guess the point of me saying that is like when you say like Ultimate Core Trainer, it's not just lay there and just do sit-ups and crunches. Those things are fine, and it's all part of a lot of the programs that we make. but this is beyond that. Like, and it really is a test of like what you can do, and you can find the weaknesses in your game pretty quick. Or like, I don't want to say a lack of muscular endurance, but just for me, like, when am I, other than like, I don't do fucking plank holds. I really don't. Like, we program our stuff in here, I'll run through a round, but I'm not generally doing them all the time. When I do push-ups, I do them for the reps, I do them, and I do the variations, but typically not like this in the format. So even for me, like, extremely challenging. Just video number 1, which is the easiest of the 10 in the series.
Number 1, it's an advanced abs program. So that's first and foremost. Even the easiest workout one. So it's a 10 workout series. It's progressive, but it's an advanced program. Like in the other content, like for example, you have like a body weight trainer. That's where you learn the basic ab exercises, the planks, the side planks. This starts at an advanced level, and it takes you to a whole new level by the end of it. And this is where it's kind of funny because people they probably look at maybe some of the stuff you and I do at this age and think, oh, these pussies. This is no, like, this is the hard stuff, man. Like, getting like the whole path of the program is designed to get you to do L-sits, handstands, really advanced single arm calisthenics, single leg calisthenics. The early parts of the program are about bulletproofing the back in all 3 planes of motion. So we have some stability there, but then, again, like, I don't know if anyone's ever done an L-sit, and there's progressions there within. Like, what's required to do an L-sit is insane hip mobility, shoulder strength and stability, and also core strength. Like, these are full body abs workouts. So, and there's one workout in there in particular that, like, we had one guy, like he literally had a nervous breakdown. I had to get rid of him from the app because he got so negative about the fact that it was so hard for him. But I make some of these workouts like a video game. It's GG24. I don't know what it'll be, like number 7 or 8 in the order. That one is not designed to be completed. Like, and then I think people also don't listen to instructions. Like, we use a lot of rest pause training. I love rest pause training because you can fuck around and get a triple double. These open blocks, let's say 2 or 3 minutes, where you do reps, and when you can't do any more quality ones, you pause for 5 or 10 seconds. No more than 20, then you keep going and keep picking up, because it allows you in a safe manner, without the need to have specific loading, oftentimes using just your body weight, to hit failure multiple times safely, which generates a lot of training effect. So, whether it's, and there's also a lot of, what you can expect from this there's a lot of hanging drills, hanging leg raises, L-sits, progressions doing handstands. So again, it's advanced, but man, like, this is the real stuff. This is the stuff that really tells you, is my back bulletproof? Do I have true core strength? Not just the ability to bring my face towards my knees, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with a crunch, but a crunch versus a hanging leg raise, this is a different ballpark, right? What's required in a hanging leg raise? Shoulder mobility, scapular mobility. You've got to have grip strength, right? You've got to have a really strong back to be able to lift your legs. If you have any sizable leg mass, the strengthening to your hip flexors is just off the charts, low abs. So, but again, these are process exercises, right? This is not candy. You're not getting an instant return on these movements. Not the sense that, like, you're going to feel them, but, like, no, you got to be willing to work because there's a built-in mobility component as well. And by the way, like I said, I think in previous stuff on this too, the follow-on workouts are great and you can do them. You can also take these movements and work on them at your own pace and say, you know what, today I'm just going to, I'm going to drip this throughout the day. I'm going to just do like 5 to 10 hanging leg raises hourly. And then tomorrow I might shift to an L-sit. I don't care how you do it. It's just, you've got to just be consistent with the process. And these are fantastic movements, that I just, a lot of gymnastic-based approach in them too. And to me, like, there's nothing more impressive than someone who's like over 200 pounds that can do an L-sit. legs straight, like getting your hips off the ground and holding that, like the amount of strength that's required. And again, like the big focus with a lot of this stuff too is you want to feel, like you do want to feel it. Like you want to feel the muscles that we're trying to target work, and things are set up in a way where you can't avoid that. So it's a very challenging program. It's advanced. But again, don't get overwhelmed by like, so what I'm saying is like, this guy was like losing his fucking mind. I'm like, bro, like express pause. No one's expecting you to go for 3 minutes straight. You go for 30 seconds, you take a brief pause, you get back in. Like by the end, you might be doing singles. It's like, so what's wrong with doing singles? You know what I'm saying? Like, again, like it's a totally different way to train than most people are used to. But again, like the task is advanced ab training, minimal equipment, can do it at home, take it to the gym in only 20 minutes. I mean, I challenge someone to maybe you can, I know you can do it differently, but is there a better way? Let me know.
No, it's like even going through the first, I think the GG24 is video 8 of the 10. But even the very first video, I mean, I think we're 3 through, I'll be at 4 this Wednesday. But I'm doing some of these and I'm like, this is a minute, dude. And I'm like checking, then I'm looking at the clock, which then I know I'm fucked. Because you're looking for a way out. It's like you're in a fight and you're like gassed. And you're like, okay, how much time before I get my ass knocked out here? And essentially what you're doing is like, I'm a clock watcher. I'm like, okay, I have 20 seconds to go. Can I just hold myself in the position? And to your point, I weigh over 200 pounds. And my hamstrings and my ass are most of it, because my calves are that of a 4-year-old girl's, it's higher and tighter, bro, every year. Still doing them. I walk around with that 60-pound weight vest on, doing calf raises. I'm like, they get all pumped up. I'm like, yeah, this is the shit. And I wake up the next day and I'm like, look at my ankles, dude. It was like a 10-year-old girl. It's insane. But like, I'll go through the entire program. Being over 200 pounds, I can't do an L sit. Not legs completely straight, perfect off the ground. I'm like, I watch typically people who are, when bigger people can do it, it's super impressive. If you're 5'4" and you weigh 100 pounds, like, it's still impressive, but it's not the same. It seems like it's impossible. Like when I say that, it's like the first time I remember like finding out how tight my quads and hip flexors were when I'm watching, I don't know who it was. It was on Kelly's Tourette stuff. Maybe Rosa or somebody like just gets up and does a couch stretch. I mean, I'm talking knee back, shin parallel, and she just stands up like nothing fucking happened. And there's no restriction there. Her heel is to her ass, her shoulder blades are against the wall, and she's just hanging out talking. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I go shin parallel to the wall. I get there and I can't fucking move. I could not get up. And I'm like, oh, okay, we are not the same. Like, I'm thinking like we're similar. I'm like, I'm way less mobile and flexible than you. It seemed impossible. Now I'm essentially a year and a half later. Now I can do that perfect on both sides, which only took me spending an hour plus a fucking day for a year and a half. And now I can do a couch stretch perfect. Nobody gives a shit. But hey, I have a moral victory. When I look at the L sit, it's the same way I feel now. Like, it feels like it's impossible. Now I'll get there at some point. I'll probably be under 200 pounds at that point, and who fucking knows? But that's the way I feel about those things of how much strength it takes. And that's a skill that of all the lifting and all the mobility stuff I've done, I still don't have that. And so when people look at like a program like this, that's why I put it in there. That's why I build it. I know if I build it into the weekly workouts, the diehard people who do the shit that I do will actually do it. And that's why I threw the boxing stuff in there. And that's the same way I feel about this. But I can't tell you guys like how much easier it is for me to come in here and do, and I hate, and these are things I hate to do, right? Like to put on a 60-pound weight vest and then do dumbbell additional loaded Bulgarian split squats, then do trap bar deadlifts, and then push a sled. Like that'll be like, that's a leg day I did here on Friday when we got back from our trip. Did I want to do that? No. Like the sled I don't hate as much because it's like whatever, I can kind of rest and breathe, but it still fucking sucks, especially when the load's heavy. But I hate split squats like nobody else does. And to deadlift and do that. But those 3 exercises, as much as they suck and as much as I hate them, and it took me, I mean, by the time I did mobility, probably an hour and a half. So I'll do my mobility, then I do the lifting. That is so much easier to me than doing this 20 minutes of core work. Like, and it's not even comparable. I would do that workout and I fucking hate split squats as much as I hate damn near anything in life, that is so much easier than doing this. And that's what I mean by people who have to detach your mind from like what it's bullshit. The story we tell ourselves, like what we think is hard versus what is really hard. Like, oh, that was a hard workout today. And that was a hard workout that I did. I go, but I've already acquired those skills. Those are already strengths of mine. Even if I don't like them, from where I started to where I'm at, how much I can load, the volume I can do, the range of motion, the quality of the technique, it's fucking as perfect as it's going to be. These other things, I'm not that. So to deadlift 300 pounds, not that hard for me. Like pretty fucking easy for multiple reps, even as an old man who probably shouldn't, but I'm dumb and I still do. Like to do that, like to do single leg fucking body weight, fucking hip thrusts. And that's what's crushing me. Like that should tell you something. So like when you guys are training, there has to be some input there of like, am I just telling myself a story, and saying this is not that hard, I need to do this? Or is that the reality? Like this is actually what is hard, and maybe don't do as much of the stuff that you're great at and build in a lot of these things to kind of complement the stuff that you're already crushing.
100%. And look, so there's a couple things to unpack on that. Number one, you can't, even if they're structured to time, you can't focus on time when it comes to these style of movements. It's all about breath. So in every one of these exercises, I give you a breathing cue to focus on. It's designed to get you into a meditation for that movement. And closing the eyes can help. But when you, again, it's so stupid because, again, I remember the first, like, just focus on your breath. Like, what does that mean? Well, but when you actually start to cue in on, because, again, core training is all about breathing, right? Like, because if your breathing is off and your diaphragm isn't functioning, you can't get the proper posture, right? It affects your pelvic position, your back, your lower back positioning, your upper back shoulder positioning. Everything's thrown off. So
and you panic.
You panic, right? So the whole point of these movements are to be able to breathe through them. Like what I've been blown away with since I really started focusing on breath in all things, particularly with cardio and core movements, the fact that there's no longer any panic or anxiety with them. Like sometimes I'm like, I'm seeing how fast I'm going or how long I'm going. And I'm like, wow, my heart rate is low. It's like this took a long time to get here, but this is falling in love with the process. People wonder why you and I are still doing what we're doing. There's lots of reasons, but if it was just about weight loss, you and I would have stopped a long time ago. Weight loss was never even a goal for you, right? Like we're constantly finding ways to humble ourselves and constantly finding new challenges that probably will take us 3 to 5 plus years to get on the other side of. This has to be the way you approach things in and out of the gym. This is newness. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't mean I stopped doing the things I used to do. Things rotate in and out. Like, for example, right now, as I'm trying to manage the bone spurs in my left knee and the arthritis hit a whole new level this year in terms of inflammation and stuff like that. So I've had to just, again, this is one thing interesting too, with just aging. Like I saw there was a piece on Al Horford of the Celtics and how, like, he's one of the older players in the league, and like every 5 years his body changed on him and he had to completely change the way he looked at his diet, his exercise, his recovery. This is true. I mean, in 3 to 5 years, like things have to evolve and change and things come in and out. Like there was a period of time I was doing a lot of split squatting and lunging. Now I'm actually doing mostly backward sledding because I got this manual endless sled that's right in my living room. I'll watch sports or movies while I'm doing it. I can get it in quick. It's a nice way to get some cardio inside if I don't feel like going outside into the heat on one day, or just get some recovery. And I will say, and it's designed specifically to build that terminal knee extension to really get the lower quad VMO muscles going, which help track the patella, but also team high calves, team no calves likely. I've noticed some pretty substantial soleus growth from it because I build up to doing an hour straight. And like an hour of backwards resisted walking or sledding, bro, that's like 5+ miles regular weighted walking. It's quite a workout. And that's what's required right now for my body. I'm just maintaining the split squat or lunge pattern and focusing on technically a pretty small range of motion movement, but it's what my body needs right now to manage the condition. So that's all to say that, again, like, take each of these movements, take them literally a breath cycle time as prescribed in this. And again, understand too, if there's 10 movements in a workout, the proper way to train any movement pattern is to take them one at a time. Develop mastery for each pattern one at a time before you start piecing them together. Now, again, the challenge of the program is 10 workouts progressive, follow along base, 20 minutes. We've got to put it all together into one single workout, right? It's not optimal, but it's effective. So that's what I'm trying to say is, like, take them out if you need to take them out, work on them. Look at the 10 workouts as just progressions that you can use for a movement you want to focus on. You can absolutely do them all together. Just understand that it's going to make it harder, especially if your breath focus isn't in place. And again, like, you want to get to the point. It's like I always talk about the Bruce Lee effect, right? Or it's what supple effort really is all about, right? You can just get into the splits, or just start doing a set of pull-ups without any warm-up, right? That's where things get more fun. You just start peppering them in throughout your day. That's what a movement base is. It's just the shit you do every day, regardless of what else you're going to do. And a lot of these movements can become that for you. And they travel well. You can do an L-sit anywhere. You can do it off the bench to modify. You can bend the knees. You can do one leg at a time. I show all these progressions, regressions, modifications in the videos. And you can take a lot of these into the water. Like a lot of what's helped me a ton is I just, off the edge of my pool, I do a lot of leg and hip cycling. And by the way, for the first time in my life, and I've been drilling this for almost 5 years now, and trying to, because anyone can do this right now. Pick up your leg. If you hear a snap, crackle, and pop like a Rice Krispies cereal dish, you've got early stage arthritis in your hips, which means you're 5 to 10 years plus away from probably being in the market for hip replacements. Now's the time to invest in those hips and getting them moving and circling and rotating. And now I'm finally feeling like what it's like, Sonic the Hedgehog, when you see those legs moving like this.
Yeah.
I finally feel it. I'm going to be 42 in a couple months. Like, physical breakthrough that I'm going to take with me the rest of my life. But you can regress a lot of these movements in the pool and get the repetition and the muscle memory. Again, nothing goes beyond the amount of fact that you got to put in the time or the reps to get a breakthrough. Like, it took me X amount of time backward walking. And then when I went to the beach in Malibu this past week, and I did I had like this epic fucking, I arrived, I took an edible, and I walked the whole length of the beach. I went from the thicker parts of the sand, which give you a little more of a strength, resistance to work through, to actually feet in the water and then feeling the change and the resistance that came with the tide coming in and out, forwards, backwards. And I'm like, holy shit. The last 6 weeks where I did the sled every day, at least 10 minutes, the backward sled, some days an hour. I got that, finally got an autopilot where I just felt that, just like, wow, fucking amazing. This seal comes out of nowhere. This fucking seal, bro. He comes out and he looks at me, and he followed me for like 2 or 3 blocks on the beach. Because, it's a very social, they're the dogs of the sea.
Yeah.
Literally, like, he came out, he was looking at me, and then he saw me doing stuff. Like, I did this stretching on a stone. I mean, if anybody was watching this, like, they're like, that's the strange guy at the beach. But
Seal whisperer.
Yeah, the seal whisperer. Like, the seal was following me. It was just amazing. But when you talk about like developing fitness and unlocking abilities, it was just like an amazing and I was really dialed in on my breath too, because you get the ocean air, pulling that ocean air all the way into your belly and then pushing it all the way out. It was one of the best walks I ever had in my life. Like, it's enhancing something I already like and enjoy, walking on the beach. I know this is kind of a tangent, but like, really made me appreciate all the work I do and all the things I do on a daily basis when I can just go to the beach, have fun, apply it. And the environmental shift is also huge, man. Like, it becomes something to look forward to each week. And it's a freestyle flow. So I don't know, I bring it up just because, like, that to me was like a true example of where, like, all the stuff you do day in, day out, really translates. And again, I like no fatigue. And I walked, I mean, dude, like my wife was like, where the fuck are you? I was gone for hours, bro. Went all the way down and came back. So pick it up where it's a tangent, but to me, like that was like it's one of those beautiful moments that happens in the process where like, holy shit, all the work I did on my breathing, all the work I did on my gait, all the work I did on my mobility, stuff that like I used to not enjoy because it would tax me, but no longer tax me because I can breathe through it and I actually enjoy doing it. Walking was never something I enjoyed when I was young. It was not, I had no physical culture. I enjoyed playing sports, but outside of sport or competition, I had no joy in movement. Now it's like I have no competition in my life with that stuff now. It's all just joy and movement and process. And so anyway, I hope a lot of this stuff can unlock that for you guys too. And I hope also that like, you know, Dave Jack talks about this all the time, that your fitness isn't stealing your fitness. Go, you know, you can go out and apply it. And now in the summer, like get to the beach. If you can get to the beach, get those feet in the sand, get in the water, bro. Like bodyboarding, you and I have to go bodyboarding sometime because like it's honestly the best workout. It's the most fun workout I do because bodyboarding is basically like surfing light. You can instantly, someone was like, he came to me, this bodybuilder, he's like, how do you get involved in bodyboarding? And I said, oh, the great thing about this, bro, you just jump on the waves. Surfing, you got to like live it. It's going to take most, like someone like you and I, it would take us a year or two to be able to surf.
Oh yeah. God. Yeah.
Oh my God. Like the mobility and the balance and all that stuff. You got to live in the water like those guys and gals do. But bodyboarding, you can just jump on. And you also have to like, so to get out, to get to the waves, you've got to fight the tide. So you get resisted running. If you have a board, you can actually sled push out. And then you can do jumps and plyo. So in between each wave, I can actually just do a bunch of awesome shit in the water. No one can tell what's going on because the water isn't clear like a pool. So if you're worried about what people think, I don't know, I guess the beach is the wrong place for you. But then you actually ride the wave in the tide. You actually have to get into an airplane. You got to get your legs and arms off the ground and balance on your belly. And it's hard when my wife does it because she's so buoyant. She's like above the wave. When you see me come through waves, bro, like I'm inside the wave because I'm like a fucking rock.
Yeah, dense as fuck. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So we're gonna bodyboard at some point, but like a beach walk into a bodyboard into like stretching in the sand. The best place to stretch is in the sand because you're literally the sand molds to the contours of your body. So any sort of the discomfort that comes with like one part of your body being too engaged with the floor, the sand just wraps you up and the stretching is just next level. Then you eat, you drink. It's an amazing experience. Like I never knew why people like the beach. Because to me, like I grew up, didn't like taking my shirt off, didn't really from Wisconsin. So the water wasn't like something you can live in. And I didn't have like an aquatic family. My dad's from the desert. But now I do get it. It's like, it's actually a lot of fun when your body is able to do all these different things. And by the way, none of these things cost any money.
No, if you can just be there, like that's our thing. Like if you go to, because again, for us, there's a lot of places close. Coronado, we do a ton just because like we'll stay on Coronado Island in San Diego. And it's just like, we'll literally just walk the entire island. So like we'll walk from the Marriott to the Del side and then just walk the beach like the whole way. I'm like, and the same thing when we go to Newport, like we'll go down, we'll go to Crystal Cove, pay the $15 because there's no fucking criminals there. And then it's like, you basically have a private beach to yourself. And I'm like, we just walk around for hours. And I'm like, hey, because the weather's perfect. It's sunny. There's the ocean breeze. It's cool. Sometimes it's overcast. Like it's the perfect thing. It's no different than, honestly, like that would be my favorite in on reality to you. This last weekend we were in Sedona, like Oak Creek Canyon, which is Sedona looks, if anybody Googles it, it looks just like the pictures. It's even faker in person. But we have an 8-month-old puppy that's just a fucking psychopath. It's like a little muscle ball. And just hiking through for probably 2.5, 3 hours. Now it's hot and I'm sweating and you probably cross like the creek there, the different, we call them tributaries or whatever the fuck it is. Like 30 different times. So my dog is swimming through creeks and jumping through stuff. And I'm like, you're just able to do it. So I can get out, I can be in nature. Now, I don't hike nearly as much as Heather does, but it's not hard for me to do. I have the mobility, I have the endurance, I have the strength to do it. I can just go out, put a backpack on, and just rip it for hours. And it's like, yeah, I did mobility in the morning just because I'm old and that's what I do. But by the time I'm done, it's 19,000 plus steps of hiking all through the wilderness and to places where I never would go. I wouldn't have access to. I go, but because I'm fit, because you're mobile, you can see it, you can be there. And yeah, it's a workout, but you're not completely dead and exhausted. And you're not like nervous. Can I climb up this thing? Can I climb down this thing? And so that's where like all the skills we have inside the gym do translate outside. And that shit has nothing to do with deadlifting. It has really nothing to do with split squatting or bench pressing. There's other skills there that we've built that do contribute to that. And usually it's the things that you don't think about. And the things that we used to think that probably, you know, don't matter nearly as much. Like things like, oh, I'm going to put skater hops into my programming. Like how, you know, you'd be like, I'm a pussy or that's so stupid. I'm like, well, but you need to move laterally, bro. Like you need to be able to balance. You need to be able to shift weight from one hip to the other. You need to be able to basically catch yourself and stop and start. Like that's what a lot of these things require. And that's not typically found in I'm not saying don't do the traditional lifts, but just barbell back squatting or, you know, barbell overhead pressing really doesn't help you do these other things outside of the gym other than I'm going to look a certain way, which is still super important. But if we're talking about performance, it's a lot of the things that most people tend to neglect in their training because it's skills they're not great at, and there's skills that are a little bit harder and look a little bit weirder in the gym if you're training in front of people, which you got to let that shit go and just actually do the things that are going to make you better, especially as you get older, because not that you won't care about what you look like, but, and I say this in all reality, I still obviously fucking care, but I care so much less now than I used to. Because again, most of the time I wear a long sleeve t-shirt or a hoodie, and that's just kind of how I go through life. I typically train that way. I don't, you know, go places where I'm shirtless because I don't want to be that guy. You know, like you're this fucking asshole walking around, especially when you're old. My beard is now white. And so it's like now I'm the old fucking, you know what I'm saying? Like it's, here's, and I'm going to get off topic here, but I was at Natural Grocers the other day, and it's like, it's when it hits you, right? Like, and now you know. So I'm not saying like a 20-year-old, 25-year-old girl wouldn't notice me, like with a shirt off, like running down the street. But they don't care, because now if I don't shave close, a lot of my beard is white. Like it's not gray, it's white, like fucking Santa Claus, which is depressing. And so that's the world I'm in. So I'm at Natural Grocers, and I'm trying to check out. I just worked out here, so I'm sweaty. These Soda clothing shirts fit super tight, so you can actually see veins like through your cotton t-shirts, which is a good feeling when you're old. And I'm standing in line, and this lady's like, "Oh, are you a trainer or whatever?" I'm like, "I own a gym. It's just down the street here." Bullshit. We're just talking, and she's asking me, "How do I get rid of cellulite?" Like the typical questions. And she's like, "I can't, can I?" I'm like, "No, you're fucked." And she's talking. She's like, you know, and that's what I said to her. And she's like, she looked great. She's 65 years old, and she looked amazing. And that's like, as I walk up, and I'm walking up to because the Natural Grocers, you check out here and then you walk up to the registers. And so I have to walk like probably 50 feet away from her. And after her and I are talking for probably 5 minutes, and I'm walking away, she's like, "And it's not fair, you have a nicer ass than me." And I'm like, "Oh, thank you very much. That's very polite. I'm wearing these sleeves sold separately joggers. It does all the work." And as I'm checking out, like that's when it hit me. I'm like, oh, this is who hits on me now. Like, this is who thinks I'm attractive now. Like, this is now the world I'm living in. I used to be these young people, and now I'm in this older bracket of like, this is the like, and that's where it really shifted. I'm like, okay, so not, and it has nothing to do with what you look like or whatever. I go, but the importance of it for me when I was 22 to impress this younger group of people is completely died. My ego is in the trash years ago. And everything I do now is solely for me. Not that I don't want to look good, because I do, but the things I used to think I had to do for just physique training, I don't have I guess I could spend 4 hours a day doing this shit, but I don't. I have other things in life that I really need to spend time on and I enjoy. So now it's like I'm going to do the bodybuilding type shit that I need to do and I want to do for vanity reasons. But there is this huge other piece that I spend time on because it makes me able to do the fucking heavy loading shit that I do, but it'll let me do stuff outside of the gym. It'll let me be pain-free. And it is a different challenge that I personally need that doesn't transfer to the outside world. And that's all comes back to you have to love the process and be okay with it, because nobody on Instagram or YouTube or Facebook gives a fuck that I've been trying to do the fucking splits for fucking 2 years. And I'm like, and I can only one leg in front, only my right leg in front, not the left leg. That's never going to happen. Neither will the side splits. I go, but for 2 fucking years, I've been spending time doing that. And I'm like, that will mean a lot to me, but the outside world won't give a shit. And that's been one of the most challenging things I've physically done, is to try to go through that transformation. That doesn't translate into more money. That doesn't translate into views or likes or clicks. It'll end up being one photo, one time. Because it's not like I'm going to be, I'm not going to be Kelly. I can't just drop into the fucking splits anytime I want. That's I need to warm up for 42 minutes to get into it. And I'm going to keep the skill, and maybe eventually it gets better. But as long as I have this much muscle tissue on my body, and as long as I'm still training, every 2 steps I take forward, I take a step backwards. But it is something that I've worked on. And I guess the point is that if I'm going to give you guys any advice on training in general, it's like, just think outside of the box of what you've always done if you really want to make a change. And I'm not saying don't do the things like that make you look better and whatever. I go, but whether it's performance goals or mobility goals or somewhere in between, just that's the real challenge at this point, especially been training for more than 10 years. Because there does come a point of where your lifts aren't going to go up. I know you don't want to hear that, but I'm not going to deadlift any more than I deadlifted. I'm not going to bench press any more weight than I bench press. Those days they're gone. All of the maximal loading is over for me. That's only a downhill trajectory. I can hold on to strength. I can do things. I go, but I have to do them smarter if I want to keep being able to do them. These other skills that I probably never really had, these are all new things for me, and they're all new challenges to keep training fresh and fun. And so I can sprinkle those in, mix the old school shit that I love to do with a lot of the new school shit. And that really is what this program is about, and a lot of the stuff that you have done, because it's not me doing it. It's me looking at somebody else's training and saying, okay, yeah, I did that, but I didn't do it for this much time or this much cadence or sequence or whatever it may be. And so now I'm going to build that in. And that's can keep this journey fun and fresh for anybody, no matter what level you're at.
Oh, for sure, man. Look, this is the reality. Most men will finally make a breakthrough in their fitness when they stop training to impress other men. You got to go through the process. You know what my current bellwether is?
No.
Do I make 60-year-old women wet? If I'm doing that, then everything's going the right way. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm doing, because what would, and by the way, it's not as easy to get wet at that age. So I must be doing something extraordinary beyond being a younger man.
Yes.
That population. But I say that in jest, but this is just, because you can't get over it. This is one of the biggest motivators, right? To procreate, to sexually excite. It's okay. That's why we're here. It blows my mind the shit I did when I was young that I thought was going to help me with that. It wasn't, because no one wants there are some people that want a big Hulk. Not a lot of people. And by the way, a big Hulk who can't touch his toes. What's the use? You're just all you're doing is blocking doors, bro. And yeah, if you get in a situation where, there's a bench press contest and you're a bench press specialist, yeah, you can show that off, but no one really cares. So that is if I look back, that has been one of the biggest shifts I've had is, the moment you stop exercising to impress other men as a man, a lot of amazing things happen, right? Because then you just actually focus on what your body needs. And when you focus on what your body needs and you give it kind of that complete approach and you don't become a one-trick pony, you become the most attractive version of yourself, no matter where you start. So that's what I mean, in terms of bellwether. But Again, like I know it sounds, but I also don't think that's superficial because I think there's an energy you bring. You see it when you go to the beach, or like I'll have friends that like will still, message me like their lifting accomplishments or feats, and I'm glad that gets them going. But it's like, but are you making 60-year-old women wet? Because if I'm looking at this, I can't even tell if I saw you in the street. I couldn't even tell if you worked out. Couldn't even tell. Well,
I mean, like again, like everybody, whatever gets you motivated to train, like that's obviously go do that. But you have to start asking yourself, especially the longer you do it, how do I feel? Like that has to play a role into it. And not that I don't get sore, not that I don't get tight, not that I don't get little nagging injuries and shit that comes my way. Like for sure, that's just part of like, ripping muscle tissue and just like, training, rebuilding, growing. I understand all that. I go, but I don't want to become less mobile. I don't want to have less endurance. I don't want to have like less flexibility. I don't want to have less stamina. And yeah, everything has an opportunity cost. And I think sometimes dudes get into this kind of shitty habit of like, well, I'm going to give up all these things for this thing. And if it's worth it to you, then that's great. I go, but I don't need to put up crazy lifting numbers that nobody cares about to, be injured or hurt or not mobile, especially if it's taking away from something else. And what you understand is like the longer you guys do train, you get more done with less for sure. And you can cut out a lot of the junk volume shit you were doing, and you can maintain and even make gains by doing less work than you used to do. Because again, you have logged all these miles already on the body. So workouts I do now sometimes that I think like, 10 years ago to me would have been bullshit. They probably would have, but I was, 10 years younger, had less shit going on in my life, and my body could recover and it could come back a lot quicker. Now it's like, I know when I have those days where I just like, I felt great and I thought I was, 28 again, I'll wake up the next day and it's like, well, now I can't really fucking train today the way that I want to because I'm so beat to shit. So now it's like, you just have to be more strategic about it. And that's coming from somebody who tries to prioritize sleep and nutrition and does the mobility work and has like the resources to roll and get massages and do all those things. And if you're not doing that and you're just going into the gym and jacking steel and beating the fuck out of yourself, and you notice like your knee hurts or your shoulder hurts or your elbow hurts and your ankle hurts, like maybe it's time to just have a smarter program and still do those things, but you could cut the volume down, in my opinion, for most people to a couple days a week and then sprinkle in these other skills that you suck at, and you'd be so much further along a year from now than you think you would be. And you're not going to lose whatever you think you're going to lose in the process, if that makes sense to people.
It does. And by the way, like, I don't mean to keep bringing it back to the 60-year-old woman example, but they like a natural look. Okay. Let's just be honest about it. And a lot of the style of stuff, like I was exchanging with you too, because I get hit with these 80s and 90s things a lot. And like Jean-Claude Van Damme, bro, like that to me is like a physique goal for someone over 40. Because again, his approach was highly stretching, mobility focused, calisthenics, peak conditioning. Like, and the thing is, like, a lot, like in your 20s, you want to look like Arnold. And then by the time you get to your 40s, so, I want to look like Jean-Claude Van Damme instead. Because I can't look like Arnold. Like, that's a different body. Like, Arnold can't look like Arnold in his 40s. That's what I mean. Like, your body, it's just a different, I have a different body. It's the same body I initially came into, but it shifted into a different body now. But then I'm like, you know what? I actually always would rather have looked like Jean-Claude Van Damme, because to look like Arnold came at such a cost. Because I went through my own Arnold phase of being fucking super strong and big. And dude, like, there's just a lot of restrictions. I couldn't really do much outside the gym because I was recovering from the stupid shit I was doing in the gym. This is what I'm saying. Like the cost of it was like, oh, and now like having spoken with, because, that was a big motivation for me, is being attracted to my wife. And before I met my wife, women in general, it's like, well, she wasn't attracted to that. She's attracted to this. This is my version of JCVD, right? Mobile, complete fitness, lean. To feed him doesn't cost an arm and a leg. Well, it does in this economy, but like if I ate the way I used to in this economy, bro, I would absolutely be working at a strip club right now to subsidize, because that's what it would take. 6 to 8 meals a day in this economy? No way. Not a chance.
Well, that's why, like, again, that's why I put on a t-shirt. Like, what did it cost you? Everything, bro. Like, it's those days of, again, like, don't get me wrong, like, looking like Arnold would have been great, but that was never going to happen anyway. Like, I would watch Jay Cutler videos. I would literally watch Jay Cutler DVDs of him just eating and training. And I'm like, that's what I need to be. And then I met Jay a bunch of times, but I remember the first time I met him, I'm like, oh, I'm a foot taller than you. Oh man, yeah, my wings.
Who wants to be 5 foot 300 pounds?
Yeah, but like, and I'm watching it, but it's some reason, like when in your head when you're seeing it, you're like, oh, maybe he's 6'2" as well. Maybe his wingspan is 6'5", and like he's not. And it's just this thing. And even Arnold too. Like, yeah, if we're the same height, sure, but this motherfucker's 245. Like he's 245 and like, but perfect 245 in the way that you would want it to be distributed, in a way that genetically for you is never going to happen anyway. Where his pecs are 4 inches thick of just tissue, and it was just like perfect. And you would see that. And then you go the Van Damme route, which even for most people is still never going to fucking happen, because it's like, he would do the splits in every movie for absolutely no reason, which is fucking awesome. And literally, you said that last night. I got Heather on Righteous Gemstones, which we'll talk about in a second. But I had Prime on, and I buy all these movies to play here in the gym. So like all the old movies like you would watch, like we own them all. So like I'm playing them at any time, like all commercials, whatever. So like Old School, The Hangover, Rounders, Predator, Dark Knight, you name it, like they're all here. And we were playing Bloodsport the other day. So when I come in, it's always movie. I work out to movies. That's all I do now. I don't listen to music. It's just movies that play. I do all my mobility to movies. When they work out here in the gym, I play the movies I want to fucking watch, because it's my fucking place. But anyways, last night I was here and I was going through Prime. Hard Target with Van Damme is that they play the trailer for it on it, and it's the acting is so fucking bad. It's like these dudes are trying to like steal this girl's car, or like maybe rape her or something, and then he pulls up, and it's like, and you just know the era of time, because it's like they always do the shit where it's like the shit you can't say anymore. He's like, why don't you grab you and your boyfriend and get the fuck out of here? And it's like all this like gay shit, and it's fucking prime Van Damme. But my point is, like, you look at him, obviously he becomes shirtless within the first like fucking 10 minutes. And he was the shit. Like, he is this kind of mold of like to get off topic, but on topic. My mom dated this dude for, I think like at least 10 years. No joke, like looked like Van Damme. Like could have been his fucking brother. Like he was, and he could have been a
double impact.
Yeah, exactly. So, his fucking twin brother. So anyways, this dude was like, he's probably 6'2". He was all juiced up for sure. But he was jacked. Like he was ripped. He looked fucking great. He looked like Van Damme. And my mom was a Van Damme fan. So like, as I was a kid, like we would watch all these Van Damme movies. I'm like, well, you're dating his fucking brother. Isn't this great? But he was in real life, he's got to be 5'10", 175, 180 pounds, but perfect, mobile, fit, flexible, and pretty much like what every dude would want to be. Like, I always describe that for people. And there's a dude here, our buddy Jeff is probably what it is. He's 6 feet tall, 180-ish pounds, super lean, looks like a fucking Ken doll. That's what chicks love. Like that's kind of the standard. And I know dudes think it's like, well, Jeremy, you're 200 pounds or whatever. I go, yeah, bro, but I've had to die. I've had to die 10 times to get to be here. You know what I'm saying? Like I always use this example. Like you see like a yacht with like 50 girls, and you see a dude. What do those girls have to do to get on that yacht? Nothing, but just be beautiful. The fucking guy on that yacht had to die 10 times to fucking be there, right? And that's how I feel about being this old and being over 200 pounds and being like ripped and muscular. I've had to die 10 times to be here, and it has cost me everything and then some. Where this motherfucker can be 180, and that's just fine. And that's probably what the average person should aim for, is this more kind of all around, like you can run, you can jump, you can lift, you can do all the things, and you look good, but you're not overly muscular, and it isn't costing you everything both inside and outside the gym. Now, obviously, it's easier for me at 200 pounds than it was at 220, because it was my entire existence and my entire life, every day, all the time. And now there is some flexibility and some freedom as I get older, and just understanding the process. But I do think a lot of people who are into fitness kind of fall into that trap of like, well, I have to be this. And it's like, these numbers are just arbitrary and they're made up. And we all have them. You have them. I have them. But you got to be realistic with like where you're at on your fitness journey too, and what you're willing to give and what it's going to take from you on both ends.
Yeah, man. What's your favorite Van Damme movie, by the way?
Of all time, I like a lot of them. It's not going to be a popular answer, the one I'm going to give here. If I could only watch, like, if I was, hey, which is the one you want to pick and watch today? Either Time Cop or Universal Soldier.
Okay. I mean, I love both. I mean, I like all his movies, but for me, it was Lionheart. For some reason,
Lionheart,
that was my favorite fucking one. I don't know why, but just there's some pretty crazy fight scenes, like the one in the half-filled pool.
Oh, it's great.
That one. There's just some really good fight scenes, but yeah, man. Like look at the delts. Look at as one of the best delts in the game I'm talking to right now. Like the delts on Van Damme, like you can see every part of the deltoid developed. Again, just like peak conditioning and but also like physically the number of spin kicks. Like I mean, I'm doing my own version of JCVD in the pool, like because I can do that shit in the pool. Now, when I get on land, it's a different story, but maybe someday. But no, I just think he's a great example. And again, he's right in the mix with like, you know, Stallone and Arnold going through those times. Ultimate, I mean, dude, just like what an era of action heroes.
Dude, I think about it all the time. Like I've watched Predator fucking 200 times. If I watched it once, I've watched Predator 200 times. Now, if you're younger, maybe you don't get this, or if you're super old, maybe you don't get this. If you watch that movie and you don't want to go fucking Jack Steele, like I don't even like, you and I aren't friends. Like we'll never get along. Like I'll say hi to you for sure, but we're two different people, bro. Like you watch Carl Weathers and you watch Arnold fucking just in the middle and just two dudes just flexing off like, see, I got you pushing too many pencils. Like it's just the fucking greatest scene in a movie, and everybody in the movie is jacked. It's amazing. Like there's super jacked dudes, but even the dudes who are skinnier, they're ripped too. Like it's all time, bro. Like I'll always be a bro. I'll always deep down, like I'll love it. I'll never, it's why I still do this. It's because I still think it's cool. Like at whatever level, like it doesn't mean I'm not talking bodybuilding shit, but I'm like, I just appreciate the work that it is to be just in shape, in all shape. It doesn't have to be bodybuilding shit or aesthetically. It can be CrossFit. It can be fucking, you're a marathon runner, whatever it is. I'm like, just the dedication it takes to do it. And I just happen to think this is cool. Like, that's why I make the shit that I make. And that's why I keep showing up. Cause I'm like, this is at whatever level, as much as I don't like a lot of the things about the fitness industry and social media and just fucking people's buying habits, whatever it may be, I'm like, this is still cool. Like you could take everything from me, man. Like if I can still do this, like at least I have a reason to like get up, you know, like in all seriousness, like I can't control a lot of shit in the world in my life. I go, but I can, even on the days I don't feel good, I can control this shit. Like I can come in here, and even if I just am a complete fucking turd, I can do mobility and I can do bicep curls and push-ups and still have a little bit of self-confidence and feel good about myself. And I'm like, it's just, if you're a dude, it's just like, it's your thing. And I think if you can find that in fitness, like you can keep going at whatever level, and you'll find new stuff, but you got to find the things that jack you up. And for me, it's still the old school 80s and 90s shit, man.
Speaking of Carl Weathers, we spoke about him last time because he had passed recently before, so obviously rest in peace. But they did an in memoriam on the BET Awards, and it was like Carl Weathers and then O.J. Simpson.
Oh, Jesus, man.
Bro. So who didn't get the memo about that? But so there was a big controversy because at the time of recording this, it happened last week. But I just think like you're going to play Carl Weathers like that.
I mean, all he gave us, bro.
Who came first, but they were in succession. So someone got fired.
That's bad. That's actually really bad.
That's unacceptable. Rest in peace to all, but that was unacceptable. So you want to close it out with, we were going to talk about some of our favorite ab exercises and close it out. Is that what it was?
Sure, dude. Yeah. Which, like all, like the shit that that I do here. Like if you want to say like kind of the like direct ab work stuff that I do, the biggest ones, probably I do use the ab wheel. To be honest with you, it's the one thing like where if I find myself not doing it for extended periods of time and I come back to it, it crushes me. Because it will actually rip the tissue. Like it's one of the few things that really will create like the micro tears, like in like rectus, at least that I've found for sure. I mean, you could do decline, like loaded sit-ups and things like that, I guess. But the ab wheel, for what it's worth for people, if you can get one, it's one of the best actual tools, in my opinion. I do a ton of carries. I really do. Single arm stuff, double arm stuff, all the different variations, rack carries, overhead carries. We build a lot of them into our Sunday groups, honestly, because I'm like, it's something that I need to do. And honestly, what I do is it's just like how you do your kind of version of every hour on the hour. It's in kind of how we microdose mobility here. I do like a lot of sled pulls and pushes, and we'll do a lot of plate loading. So I'll get up to we use the Rogue sleds the other way, like 200 or the way 100 pounds by themselves. And I'll go anywhere, maybe 6 plates, 7 plates, whatever it may be, just so I can get up to some heavy work. Knock on wood, I don't rupture my fucking Achilles one of these days. But what I'll do is when I take the plates back to the rack, I always overhead carry them every single time. So you're talking an extra 30 yards. And I know it sounds arbitrary, but if I'm loading on 6 plates and I'm taking off 6 plates, that's 12 different, essentially, reps I did of overhead carries. And I do that with a lot of my dumbbell work. When I put dumbbells back, like I'll single arm carry it around the room, set it back. I do a ton of those variations. I will do a lot of the almost like the body saws, like so your plank positions, but with your feet on the sliders, trying to keep the hips neutral and keep everything braced. Those actually are really difficult, even for me. The hanging stuff I do, I'll do a lot of the mobility stuff, but I will do the hanging knee raises. I try to slow and control them, not so much toes to bar, but I just try to slow those down for the most part. And honestly, for direct ab stuff, other than that, halos is probably one of the biggest thing. And then just the rotational tosses, just because we have the cinder block walls here, and I can throw shit at it as hard as I can. But those are probably the biggest direct ones that I do, other than like if I jump into your stuff, because you do things that I wouldn't think of off the top, other than you did share, we did it in our group the other day, and I realized how bad people were really quick. And usually I can gauge by how I am, but sometimes I'm off. And it was the just a single arm dumbbell sit-up, essentially, that you do. Feet wide on the ground, offhand, kind of like you do a Turkish get-up, essentially, and trying to keep that essentially loaded hand, even if it's not loaded. A lot of people here did body weight, 5 to 10 pounds, crush them, but keep that upper arm vertical, which is very hard to do because people just want to forward reach because it's much easier, and then control the eccentric on the way down. So like those single arm, because it's tough, even for me, with 10 to 15 pounds to keep your body braced on the ground and not basically have it lift you off the earth. Those are tough. So those are probably my biggest ones on a weekly basis.
I love it, man. No, yeah, actually, it's funny you mentioned that too, because again, it's just so funny how it's like the timeless stuff. Love the abs wheel. Obviously, it's I program it in the workouts, and a lot of the slider stuff can mimic the ab wheel action. And what's also interesting too is, so I'm going to take that as a challenge also to kind of do them. I'm really good at doing them on the knees, but I want to be able to do them full on the toes. That's kind of the next level. So that's something I want to add into the mix. But also like a good ab wheel, just try to hold an ab wheel plank. Go out there full range and just see if you can make it 30 to 60 seconds and breathe through it. All the overhead stuff, whether you're carrying weights overhead or hanging leg raises, like ab wheel, it's the ultimate core. One thing I've been working in a lot recently too, because I told you, we both, it seems like I'm a year ahead of you in terms of injuries, but I hurt my lower back. I know you did too. And so I invested in an inversion table, worked that almost daily for a year. And I mentioned before we started recording, like I had this moment where like couple months ago where like something just adjusted. Like I was getting daily benefits, weekly, monthly, accruing the benefits, but like something finally shifted in my pelvis, and like there was and I was like, oh fuck, am I done? Like, do I have to call 911 right now? And it's like, oh, whoa. And it's like, wow, there it was. And then get another example, like it took me a year of offsetting like all of the compressive efforts of powerlifting, all the stuff I'd done up until that point, to get that release, to be able to relax the muscles enough, breathe through it enough. So I just invested in some inversion boots. And so now I'm doing a lot of inverted spinal training, which is amazing because like when you do sit-ups, and by the way, like it's basically like foot to head strength. Like hangs, all the hanging movements, pull-ups, that type of stuff, hanging leg raises, that's hand to foot strength. This is foot to hand because the anchor, right? So it just impacts the pelvis differently. Like the hang affects the shoulder and the way that inversion affects the hip. Like, so if you have like true pelvic lumbar spine issues, you're not going to get the same, like hanging will help, especially if you like squeeze a medicine ball between your legs, as it kind of enhances the weighted load of the traction effect. But in terms of how it will actually impact the pelvis, it's next level. But when you're doing sit-ups inverted, you're training that pattern in a decompressed state. And by the way, it's all stress. Like if you're new to inversion, you got to start with like a minute at a time. And the beauty of like a table with adjustants, you can start with like a 10-degree inversion and build progressively to being fully inverted. And it's got the stability that the table offers, like hanging free hang, like it's complete spinal stabilization, and you can move in all directions. You can extend from it. Like, so it's a new journey. I'm looking forward to it. Even doing just 3 to 5 reps a day, like hanging sit-ups, like trying to get toes to bar. That's a pretty good ab workout and built-in spinal work. I've also been doing more anchored sit-ups lately because I've got this device that allows you to do it, the sled. It's the sled. By the way, maybe the best piece of home gym equipment I've ever used. It's an endless sled plus you can do dips, pull-ups, Russian leg curls, sit-ups, Bulgarian split squats. It's incredible. And the anchoring is actually, it's been really nice to do because I used to do a lot of those when my heavy powerlifting days. I used to do a lot of weighted sit-ups. And then I completely got away from them because, we got into this industry where we're like, don't move your spine.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, don't move your spine. It causes back pain. In reality, it just seems to cause it and open you up to a world of pain because your body's unprepared for unique movements or just its true natural patterns. So I've been doing a lot of incorporating some more decline sit-ups, weighted, not even weighted yet, but just like, very slow, controlled, adding twists. I've been doing a lot more back extension work because I got a machine recently. Just really, especially on days like where my knees are swelled up and I can't do like as much of other stuff, I can always do core work. And what's interesting too is especially like the bent, even the straight-legged ones, it's been really therapeutic for the knee too, because you're isometrically having to engage the muscles around the knee when you're anchored, when your feet are anchored when doing sit-ups. Yeah. So it just, sometimes some movements from the past. And by the way, like I got some ab straps because just a nice way you get a little more stability and leverage from the ab strap, and it's not grip limiting. So you can, I'm just finding ways to get more unique angles or ranges of motion or variations on some of the leg raise work. I do stuff I'm going to be sharing as I work through it. And then maybe, you want to give your grip a rest on a day, calluses or just they need a break. But these are all these are like old school shit, like the ab wheel, ab straps, all the bar work. I do my handstands right here. Right now I'm kind of in a headstand phase to build the neck strength. It's also just to help in case I fall from my inversion, build that strength there. But just some fun stuff. And again, it's all, and a lot of the bodyboarding stuff I'll do too. When I wait between waves, sometimes I'll get into a V-sit in the water and kind of like compress against the board. kind of like compression training, as they would call it in gymnastics, but I can do it for a very long period of time and get a really nice, good muscle burn and contraction because I'm in the water. Yeah, man. So just and by the way, like you say, you don't do planks. You do planks all the time when you do dips and you do hangs. It's just these are advanced planks that are a little more entertaining than just like looking at the earth.
Well, or if you do like when you do and I still will do, I'll still do barbell work. I just don't do like nearly as much as I would. But I like when I do barbell curls. Essentially, it's a standing plank, bro.
Oh
like
yeah,
if you
next level.
Yeah, so like I'll do those, and I will with the pool shit. I never used to do anything, and you sent me all the pool stuff, which is legit, by the way. Especially on days where it's like, again, like I never used to have elbow pain ever, and it's like now you get this stupid. It's just overuse or just being old or combo of the two. But using that stuff in the pool is great. But even just being in the pool and like doing like 10 years ago, dude, I never would have went in the pool other than just to chill. And now it's like, not that I'm not doing that, but like I can be there and just do essentially hip cars, in the pool. And I can work on, the side splits that will never happen in the pool, and just work on, simple groin adduction, like in the pool, like just working through space and just working on a simple hip flexion extension, just kind of mimicking like marching, and not like I'm dying in a workout, but I'm just moving my body around and I'm moving the joints around. And that's stuff that I used to think when I was probably 25 was bullshit. And this isn't even exercise. And this is just a fucking waste of time. And like, you can't just do that, obviously, and look the way you want probably and perform the way you want. And I go, but those are great additions to what you are already doing. And they're probably things you should do. Again, I don't think it's like strength is never a weakness is never a strength type thing, where the more you can move your body around dynamically through all planes of motion, whether it's in the water, on land, or anywhere in between, I think is beneficial for everybody. And those are low hanging fruit things where it's like to really go through and do like hip cars, whether it's kneeling, standing, whatever it may be. Like you have to work, especially when it's on dry land. Like you're sweating if you're really trying. Like when you really do mobility, you guys, it's fucking hard. It's not really fun because I'm trying to like articulate a real change. So like when I'm working on doing a pancake, right? Because I actually have hamstrings and an ass, it's fucking tight. And for whatever reason, this left leg is so much tighter than the right. When I'm coming forward, it's trembling and I'm sweating, especially if I'm trying to flex my quads. It's not easy to do. And that's active stuff. And in the pool, it's not that it's passive, but it's much easier to do. And I can get 50 reps in on a leg in the pool, and on the other, so I can get 100 reps in total. And it's like I didn't even do any work whatsoever. To do that here in the gym, I have to dedicate an insane amount of time, and it's so taxing. I mean, by the time I get done with the mobility, it's like, do I even have energy to work out? So it's like if you can kill two birds with one stone, if you're lucky enough to live in a place that has a pool or the weather, allows you to do that, those are low hanging fruit things. So if you guys do have access to like a Lifetime or a YMCA or something, I think it's worth it to hop in the pool and do some of that stuff, especially on like if it's active recovery days, or just if if your low back is stiff, I promise you your hips are stiff. They're glued together. They're one and the same, dude. So if you're anybody, that would be my advice to you. And this is coming from somebody who came back from L3, L4, L4, L5, L5S1, bulge, unroofing, compression issues. Just getting ahead of that stuff and letting your hips be loose and be mobile can save you a lot of, bullshit down the road.
Dude, like I have a 20-minute hip flow I do to start every day in the pool. And the hurdle, I basically just do hurdles. I recommend it definitely starting hands on the wall so you get the stability. But, just basically doing both clockwise and counterclockwise or internal, external rotation, just hurdles and getting that motion. And you want to get to the point where you can do it in its full arc without ideally hearing anything. Dude, when I first started doing it, it was like, and I could just feel, because again, that capsule just gets locked down and it gets calcified. And, here's the thing, like before you climb the pyramid, you want to be bulletproof. You don't want to get to the top of the pyramid and then now, okay, I've got to bulletproof my body because it's too difficult. You've already developed all the tensions and tightness and, compensatory mechanisms to get there. So on work, you basically then like you can't. You have to basically come back down. So instead, I'm going to save you a trip. Stay down here where everyone else is, bulletproof your body, and then you can always climb as high as you want. But like you said, these are like the simple things, like you can squat 500 pounds, but can you lift your leg over a dog fence? Like, can you do it? And then if you can, what do you hear? How does it feel? And if it's noisy and painful, like, wow, man, this is a real problem. And again, I love to start my day with light, easy stuff. Like, I know some people have to do hard stuff to start the day, but I think it's so counterproductive. It just goes against the natural rhythms of the body, especially as you age, because the first hour of the day, you are most susceptible to injury, especially the spine. And, I always feel my worst in the first hour of the day. But if I go through as I always do, my morning routine, which is always finishes in the pool, you feel like $1 million. And just a way to check in on your body. I know, again, not everybody has pool access at home, but there are 10 million people own pools in the U.S. alone. So there's a lot of people with pools, and almost every quality gym does have some pool access. So hurdles in the pool, bro, you get continuous fluid resistance. There's like literally, there's so many movements you can name. You can't find a better way to do it than in the pool. You get resistance throughout the entire range of the exercise. And you don't even have to add like the fins or anything like that. You add fins to it. And now there's some real strengthening demands. And literally, like, my hips are night and day from where they were even a year ago, from just, like you said, flexion, extension, the circles or the hurdles, whatever you want to call them, feel so good. And then you do your dry land training, and now my knees and legs have never lifted higher on my hanging leg raises. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just completely unlocks the range of motion, and neurologically, it gives you like a confidence to be able to go to those ranges of motion, because you can build them in the pool. The splits, you can work on that in the shallow end of the pool.
Yes.
And build up you take advantage of some of the unloading. But, again, because I share a lot of stuff. I share stuff in the pool year round, but like specifically during the summer. And it just really, like, there's always a mouth breathing meathead that's like, this is pointless. And so, dude, you come with me. Let me take you through my arm routine in the pool. I have never had a better arm pump. I come out of the pool and it's like, and just the contractions, the mind muscle connections. And again, it's just like, it never bothers my elbow. It's like I didn't do anything for my joints, but my muscles are like, they just feel incredible. And I don't have to worry about weights, because there's so many ways you can change it, whether you're going faster, slower, duration, stacking movements. So it just, if you're those watching on YouTube, I got a pool training playlist, and there's going to be a lot more to come, but like, just, it's such a way to heal the body and just work on all the stuff that maybe you're struggling with on land that you just can't do yet because of just you're exposed to the full powers of gravity.
Well, and just for people, like, if you get off the pool shit, because I know people are like, what the fuck? I go, and I know, dude, I used to think the same thing. I used to be like, why would I ever? That's ridiculous. Like, why would I ever go in there? But if you're somebody if you're a person who really, really trains, like, hard, you probably are not doing as much mobility and tissue work as you need to stay injury free over time. It's just the reality. And for people who just struggle with mobility in general, it's the easiest way for you guys to do it. That's the only way, because I still work with humans in person, and it's the one, like, dude, it's not my workout. It's obviously I create everything here, but it's theirs. If I'm serving steak and you want to order fucking salmon, but by all means, dude, like, eat the salmon, bro, even though the steak is what you're supposed to eat here. What I mean by that is people will come in here and they'll make up their own workout, basically. Like, that's not what we do here, but like, that's what they'll do. I don't mind. It's like, if you don't want to do split squats and you need to, like, roll out your calves, I think that's a smart move. You made a good call today. You weren't being a dummy. What I do have here is people who, like, don't want to do the couch stretch for 2 minutes, and they want to sit and do fucking bicycle crunches for 2 minutes instead. And I don't know how to say it, because you're the paying customer, so you can do what you want, but I know more than you do. Like, I'm smarter than you. Like, I've made all the mistakes that you're going to make. And if I can get injured, you are going to. Like, it's not if, it's like when. And people don't want to do it. And I'm asking for 2 minutes. I'm asking you to stretch your quads and your hip flexors for 2 fucking minutes because you sit in a seat for 9 hours a day and then you sit on your couch for another 4 hours a day. So I'm asking for 2 fucking minutes for you to actually be like in hip extension, right? Versus hip, God forbid you be in hip extension for 2 minutes. Other than like walking, and even that, I don't know if you really do get, because your strides are probably shit because you're not really walking that much. My point is that if you're somebody who is that, like you just despise stretching and mobility and doing that, and you're not going to go do Pilates or yoga for 90 minutes. If you can get in a pool for 20 minutes and just do some fucking arm circles, my God, like move your legs around, bring your knee towards your chest, try to get your heel to your butt. Like, I know it sounds overly simplistic. But those things will allow you to do all the other shit that you love to do and that you think are way more important, hopefully for the rest of your life. Because like to the example you gave, 500 pounds, at some point there's going to be a time where you can't squat 500 pounds anymore, unless you're a genetic freak. And there's going to come a time where you don't want to, or you don't need to. But there'll always be a time where you need to lift your leg over a fucking hip gate. Excuse me, like a dog gate. Or you need to go up a flight of stairs or down a flight of stairs. And not that the squatting isn't important, because it is. But the mobility to get into the positions and move around, you're going to have that until you're dead. And a lot of times we give up that in lieu of something else we think is important today for something that's going to be super important tomorrow. And that would be my takeaway for anybody. Not saying don't do the other work, but just carve out some time for this. And if you do hate mobility stuff, it's way easier to move in a body of water than it is on dry land for most people, especially if you have limited range of motion and you're super tight and you're super stiff, which is most fucking dudes over the age of 30 years old.
Yeah, no, look, man, I shared a video of me. Basically, it looks like I'm in a push-up position and a pool noodle like hands on a pool noodle, suspended in the water, and I'm basically doing mountain climbers. So it's like, it's truly suspended climbers. Like I've got to stabilize on the noodle. Obviously, it's not my full body weight, but I'm doing hip flexions, extensions against the resistance of the water, and I've got to balance on this pool noodle. And one of the first comments was, "No, man, no, bro, that's for some big ass people. You're too fit to do this." And it's like, well, but why do I look and feel better than ever at almost 42? And this is what I actually do a lot of. Explain that to me. Like, because people think the pool is for the injured, the overweight, and the infirmed, or the elderly. And it is, but it's really for everyone. And if you have the younger you are that you can get into the pool, it just unlocks everything you do on land. And I have, like you, I have lots of days where it's nonstop work. And I look at the clock and it's 4, I'm fucking starving. And I'm like, I got 20 minutes. I know my dog has to play. I just go jump in the pool. I set a countdown timer and I throw the ball. She gets it. When she's bringing the ball out and bringing it back, I do an exercise. It could be curls. It could be tuck jumps. It could be running in place. It could be all the shit we talked about. And then in 20 minutes, she gets a workout. I get a workout. No warm-up was required. I feel great. And again, like the way you can exert yourself in the water is just next level, because you're not getting any joint stress, and you really don't know how much you've done until you've left the water. And you get out, it's like, holy shit. Like I literally moved every which way, all planes of motion. I got resistance in all directions. Feel amazing. And had I not had this option, I may not have done anything. Or I would have found myself in a situation where now you're cutting into other things you have scheduled, whether it's dinner with the family or stuff like that. So even if you just want to use it during the summer, during the warm months, just to stay cool, that's enough of an incentive. It just annoys me because people always ask, like, what do you do? It's like, okay, I make all these workouts for you. I've done them before. I don't currently do them, but I've done them before. You can do them. And I made them for you exactly as it makes sense for you, short on time, all everything contained. But then you ask me what I do, and then I share it, and it's like, oh, that's not for you. That's for fucking old people. Well, first, I'm old, but also, I don't know a lot of people, that can do what I do at almost 42. So I don't know. The water has really been especially on days where I've got inflammation in my knee. It's sometimes the only option for me. So I don't know, man. I hope to get it out there that like, this is not just for like old, fat, injured people. Like it is ideal for those types of people, but hopefully you don't have to get to that point. You can use it as a way to not have to get to that point. And then you will at some point, like, you know, you and I, if we're lucky enough to be 80, like, you know, we're gonna need more pool days than land days, bro. It's just a fact. So you might as well get good at it.
Well, and the last thing I'll say with the pool stuff, I use that the pool example is the same as I gave earlier, where people will see me like, and I don't take my phone with me most times now when I go anywhere because I hate it. And the older I get, I just become more and more like Ron Swanson. It's getting bad. And like kind of Ron Swanson mixed with Clint Eastwood from Gran Torino. Like it's just it's a bad mix because it's too much. Like all the things we do. Anyways, I used to always take my phone on me when I would ruck, and like listen to a podcast or whatever, and I'd make a video talking to people, and I still will once in a while because I know people like it, and if I have something to say meaningful, I know it helps people, especially when they're having a shitty day, whatever. But people will see me walking around out here hot as fuck, like, oh, that's super hard for him. I'm like, it's not hard for me to do. I like the heat for one. I understand the benefits of loaded walking now, especially as I'm older, especially if you're trying to like maintain your leg size and carry load and how many calories you do burn and what it allows you to eat actually, in your day, if you eat as well as, we do. And then if you want to eat like shit, it really doesn't fucking matter. Because you've put all this stress on the body, which really didn't tax it as much as you think it did, but the calorie burn is there. So people will see that as like, oh, that's really hard what he does. I'm going to go get a heavy ass ruck and walk around too. And that seems like it's badass, and it is in its own right. But if I go, my pool is 10 feet deep. So it used to be a diving board there. Obviously we took it out because I'm not trying to die, but I'll go to the deep end of the pool and try to tread water for like 5 minutes, dude. And nothing will humble you faster than being in the middle of a pool that's 10 feet deep and your big, heavy, dense ass is trying to tread water for just 5 minutes. And then you realize real quick, like how vulnerable you are in the water, and like, you're not as strong or as fit as you think you are, because I'm smoked, bro. Like literally at the end, you're just like, within 30 seconds, I'm like, how much time is left? And you're out there and you're like, this is extremely easy on my joints, but it's taxing for my body. And now I have to figure out how to breathe, how to control myself, and how do I actually move my body around here so I don't sink and I can have how much energy I need to have for the next actually 5 minutes. So that's my last kind of pool take. It comes back to the things that you think are badass and hard, not that they're not. I go, but ask yourself, like, are they really hard for you, or do they just, the optics of it look hard, but what really is challenging for you? And that's something for me as I'm older, I have nobody else left to impress. Whatever I've done, I've done. If you think I'm great, cool. If you think I fucking suck, I'm an old man. I don't give a fuck. I go, and I'm already married, and so that's that. So I'm like, now it's like, what are the things that really do challenge me that I work on? And literally it's all the things that I used to think made you a pussy and were soft when I was younger. Because again, to your example of, you don't want to get to the top of the pyramid and have to work your way back down, but that's exactly what I did. That's how I did everything in sports. That's how I did everything in my physical body, just the timing of when we grew up and how we did fitness. And it was just backwards. We know way more now than we used to. And so I'm sharing this not to tell you that, what you're doing is wrong, but all the mistakes that I did make. So the fact that I even can functionally move and I look this way is a fucking miracle. It really is. I don't know if that's genetics or luck or all of it mixed together, but there's no way I should still look this way and be essentially injury free in my 40s with doing everything backwards in the way that I did it. So I'm sharing it to you guys from a point of, don't be dumb and get yourself hurt and do stupid things. This is coming from a place of, the odds of you making it to the top is highly unlikely if you don't start putting some of these pieces into your training sooner than later.
And look, man, to finish off the pool piece. So did you guys do the skier today at your Sunday Metcon?
Yeah.
Okay. So what is the difference between going like this, repeatedly standing with something, versus doing that in the water, where actually now you get resistance both ways?
Yes.
It's a better movement. It's as if swimmers don't have the best lat development in the fucking game. People just like to forget that. Or the assault bike. What is treading water? It's moving both the arms and legs simultaneously, continuously.
All four limbs. Yeah.
All four limbs. And by the way, like that's actually, I had this same moment, bro, like, because my wife is super buoyant and my wife can't even get to the bottom of the pool. Like if I jump, I can get down there. I do lizard walks at the bottom of the pool, bro. It's easy, especially if I empty my lungs. But I had the same thing where like my wife and I did a competition, and this was about 8 feet, I think. And my current pool, the deepest is in the middle, only 5 feet. So it's almost impossible for me to tread water because you can. The deeper it is, the easier to tread. You get more buoyancy that pushes you up. But also just again, what's hard, what's naturally difficult for you to do becomes the optimal thing to work at because the benefits are just insane. Because for someone like you and I, literal 200-pound rocks to stay at water level, like, dude, it takes a complete concert of cardio, metabolic, muscular work, neurological work to keep that in motion. So I can only go like, I went 75 seconds and I thought I was going to die. I just could not stay. So I'm like, this is a problem, bro, especially if I want to go bodyboarding.
Dude, it is so fucking hard. It is.
Dude, yeah, like I'm one riptide away from like absolutely drowning. Because like if I get out there and like, how am I going to stay up? Especially if I don't have the board. But like I said, it blows my mind. Like you cycle, but like you won't go off to the edge of the pool and actually give yourself a continuous resistance both ways, always, to just develop, the hip drive to do it properly. So again, like it's funny, but it's also like this whole knees over toes movement that's happened the last couple of years. It's like, really? Like you thought it was so dangerous for your knees to go forward all this time. I know like we couldn't show that stuff, but like they've been doing this. Like it's an impossible thing to not do for the knee to go over the toe, but like, and then it finally breaks through. So like, the water is I believe in the water, not only because I have it and it's the only option on some days and it enhances everything I do on land. But, I hope to be a part of popularizing it for beyond just being a swimmer and beyond like only use it when you're new, injured, or like, it's not just cardio for the elderly. Like I've had some of my best workouts in there. They really push you. And like I said, like, are you really fit? I was like, dude, are you really fit? Because you can't even tread. So I started using a pool noodle. And it's like, if my ego was there, it's like, I could not, especially a pink pool noodle. It's like, bro, you're going to use a pink pool noodle. It's like, yeah, because don't forget, I actually at some point have to come out of the water. And then my work speaks for itself. I'm still a brick shithouse coming out of the water. So something must be working. But yeah, no, that's where it's like, are you really fit if you can't tread water? Probably not. Like it's not just like can you or can't you swim? It's like, wow, you don't have the ability to like coordinate your limbs. It's like It's kind of crazy. Like this is like any kid can just do. You put some fucking. Why is it so hard? It's like, oh, this is definitely a gap. So anyway,
that's why again I'll leave everybody with this. Like it's easy for me to ride the assault bike for 5 minutes. It's easy for me to, dude. I've fucking rode a marathon in 3 hours. Like I've done all these ridiculous dumb things and all these fucking arbitrary made up machines here. Like they're all made up. Like it's no more real than anything else. And like it's just because Concept 2 put a name on it, like we can make it cool and we can get people to want to be good at it. Like we're gonna track I just did a video yesterday. Like, what's your 2K row time? Like this arbitrary made up distance of just misery and shit, and it's fucking terrible. And I can do it pretty fast. I go, it's way easier for me to row a 2K, bro, at a 6:30 clip, which is fucking insane for a normal person to do. And do I feel like shit afterwards? Yeah, it steals probably 3 days from me, to do that. And it took a long time to learn that skill. I'm like, but it's still harder for me to tread water for the same amount of time because I physically can't do it. Like this other thing I can physically do. I can do these things for, even if I go slow, I can do it for a long time. I'm not even trying to do anything fast. I'm not even trying to swim long. Like, how long can I swim for then? If I can't tread water for 5 minutes, how long can I really swim for? I don't know. Like I can't imagine it can be a whole hell of a lot longer.
No.
Like maybe slightly, but could I swim for without like training, like for like an Ironman or something? Could I swim for 10 minutes in a row? I don't know, bro. Like I wouldn't want to, I'd have to do it in a pool. I wouldn't try it in open water for sure. Like that's what I mean, where it's like these we think we're, and again, most of you probably don't give a shit if you can swim or whatever I go, but the point is like it's movement, it's exercise, it's something that it's probably a skill you want to have, and it is a test of how fit you are, and that's where it's like some of these other things are going to come and go, but this is something you can probably use forever, and it's just nice to fill holes kind of in your fitness game to be like, what can I really do, with all of these quote unquote skills I've worked on in the gym, and some of them transfer to real life and some of them don't. So, and it's also humbling, and it's nice to, if you're somebody who's not going to do PRs on your bench anymore or whatever, it's like, well, can I work on these other things to see, where I'm really at?
Yeah, man. Like I'm like a kid in the pool. Like literally, like I'm using flotation devices to build up, just like you guys listening are trying to get into the land training, like the shit I did when I first started. Yeah, we all have to start somewhere. And I might be 42 and doing this, and you might think that's kind of like sad. Like there are people listening, it's like these motherfuckers can't tread water, because I know most people listening can tread water, no problem. But they don't. Again, like we all have.
If you're a dude and you're listening to this, and you are anywhere north of 185 pounds, and your body fat is under 10%, I think it's going to be rough for you to tread water for 5 straight minutes. And I could be wrong. Like if you're on fucking SEAL teams, yeah, sure, but we weren't. Like it's just like if you're dense, like if you have low body fat, you do not float very well. And you might know this, you might not know this. Like if you're a heavier guy and you're mostly muscle, you sink, bro, really quick. And it takes, Heather could do it for sure. But I'm not a girl. I'm not a small woman. I'm a fucking bigger dude. Like it's way harder than people think. And I know it's like, people think I've lost my mind. I'm like, but I haven't, dude. Like I've been trying to get better, and it's really, really tough.
You've got fucking rocks for shoulders. It's just, it doesn't, but no. It becomes then like the most intense thing you can put your body through because of that. Just like body weight training is harder for guys like you and I that are bigger, longer. But what's great too about going to the Pacific Ocean, I try to go once a week during the summer now, is it's so much more buoyant in there than it is in my pool. So it's like, I just feel like I'm enhanced every time I go to the beach. Like it's so much easier to tread water. But no, it's a next level challenge. Plus, like you have to, like your breathing has to be so properly shallow, because if you're doing big inhales and exhales, trying to tread water, you're going to be like a bobby, because you just keep going up and down. So you can't keep your head above water. As your lungs empty and close, you keep going up and down. So it's just, that's what I mean. It's like it looks like it's something like not a lot of thought goes into doing this, but so much is required. And it all starts really with your breathing, because the moment you panic, right, you overly exert yourself, and like metabolically in 45 to 60 seconds, the lactate, you're done. So let's close it out. Let the people know where they can find and learn more about you, and I'll do the same.
Yeah, I don't have any pool videos, but maybe I'll get on the BJ train and make some pool videos.
Too much fucking pool content.
No, dude, you have so much, dude. There's
that 10 people enjoy, but that's all right. The 10 people engaging with it are fucking living their best life.
No, this is where it starts, right here. All my social shit, it's just Jeremy Scott Fitness everywhere. Instagram, Facebook, our podcast is Jeremy Scott Fitness, the website, you name it. It's everywhere. We're pumping out stuff all the time. The app is that too. We got a bunch of BJ stuff in there. It's good shit. Most of you guys probably know that, but if not, you should get on it.
I appreciate that, brother. And best place to follow me is youtube.com/BJ GADDOUR. I get out at least 3 to 4 new pieces of content a day. All of my top programs with ads available, including this abs trainer. You can get it ad-free, obviously, at Jeremy's app, which he mentioned too. And but if you want to, access the content with ads, youtube.com/BJ GADDOUR, plus all my pool content, sled content, all my stuff. And there's so much stuff there. And I it's literally like a full-time job for me. So I'd really appreciate a subscribe, means a lot. So would love your support over there.
Like, share, subscribe. Boom.
Yeah. Men don't do it, but we have to keep asking.
No, it's painful, dude. And if you listen to this podcast, just drop it wherever you listen to it. Just drop it a 5-star and leave a comment, like just anything. Just say thanks. Like it really is that simple, everybody. And but that's what baffles me. Like thousands and thousands of people, and it's like you get a fraction of just the feedback. And again, I'm terrible at it too, but I'm getting better as I get older. I'm like, you know what? Let me like this. Let me give it a little star and leave a little note. So I'm getting better too. So reciprocate, everybody. We appreciate it.
It always comes back to you. It always comes back. So, guys, thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this summer installment of Two Old Men, Two Old Fit Men, making 60-year-old women wet.
Yeah, well, it'll be we'll do it for surely each quarter, if not more often, for sure. I appreciate it.
All right, guys, enjoy.